The following program is rated TVMA. This program may contain strong opinions, explicit language, and possible adult themes. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the Smoke Free Radio Network or its affiliates. This program is meant for mature adult audience. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hey folks, P. Basardo here, and you're listening to the Smoke Free Radio Network.
Here's the real kicker. Out of all of that, if that's the only audio that is going to fail tonight, I'm happy with that. I can live with that. Fine. I don't even know if audio is getting through over into the live feed or not. That's just enough to kill anybody. All right, here's what's going to happen for the evening. For those people that are sensitive to ranting, raving, or foul language, I'll apologize, but you might want to tune out. Just for a little bit, or for the entire show, because I honestly don't know if this is going to come through. I don't know if this is going to have any kind of real impact. I'm really upset. So, all the folks that might be sensitive to any kind of real serious, yeah, I'm not going to be a happy camper thing, and I might use a lot of foul language. If that is a sensitivity piece, you might want to just go ahead and say good night. I see a gentleman that I'm happy to see. If you could do me a favor, Mr. Tarling, if you could give me a thumbs up in the chat room just to let me know that this actually has audio, I would greatly appreciate it. If not, I'm going to restart the entire show and be a couple minutes late, and we'll do it all over again. But I don't know what happened to my audio. Probably because I'm so ticked that I didn't plug everything in correctly. I didn't do it right. I know Spreaker's picking everything up. It's good to go. We got a thumbs up from Mr. Tarling. Folks, I'm going to tell you what started the entire piece with me this evening was this wonderful piece from the FDA. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen. Scott Gottlieb has turned around and kind of laid part of the law down on things that are going on. And it's not good. And he talks about this. We're going to cover this entire article in a few minutes. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to cover it. And I've got like 8 tabs that are opened up that I really want to get to. But here are the things that I want to talk about first this evening. And they are the worst of the worst. Okay? We're going to start with the bad news first. This was the piece that came out from CNN. All right. This was done today from CNN.
The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer. Up next on CNN.
We're back with our health lead now and shocking statistics about just how many teenagers are using e-cigarettes. According to the FDA, 3.6 million middle school and high school students regularly vape. That number has jumped by nearly 1.5 million kids since just last year. And when you break it down, 1 out of every 5 high schoolers says they've used an e-cigarette in the past month.
Now, right there, we're going to cover something else that comes up in this FDA press garbage, because their term of use is absolutely fucking skewed, hands down.
CNN chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta joins me now. And Sanjay, correct me if I'm wrong here, big picture, the U.S. government for decades worked really hard to convince teenagers and tweens to not smoke cigarettes. And they actually were very successful, the government. It worked.
Bullshit. They weren't successful up until the point that vaping came along. The trends that were shown by the CDC showed, hands down, that the decline that this guy is talking about was evaporated milk. It's just bullshit.
Until e-cigarettes came along, and now all that progress seems at risk.
Bullshit. It's not at risk.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair characterization, Jake. I mean, I think, we're still talking about a relatively new phenomenon, these e-cigarettes. And I think in the beginning, it just wasn't clear. What's the trend going to be? Are young people going to start using these e-cigarettes? Are they going to then start using real cigarettes as a result? I think the statistic that got everybody really fired up about this, Jake, is that 78% increase in use of these e-cigs among high schoolers.
And here again, the CDC has other information that goes so contrary to that.
78%. 48% increase in use among middle schoolers. That's the real concern, that they're starting to use these e-cigarettes. Might they go on to then smoke combustible or real cigarettes? Here's how
Now, that's something else to pay attention to right there. They have absolutely no data, none, that talks about people or teens or anybody for that matter going from a vaping product back to smoking cigarettes unless flavors are taken away.
FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb put it.
And so all the dramatic gains that we've made in recent years getting smoking rates down among kids, there's a threat that that's going to be reversed if we don't do something about this.
One thing I want to point out to you as well, I looked this up, Jake, you may be interested. People who start smoking, 90% of them start smoking before the age of 18. People who become lifelong smokers, 90% before age 18, 95% before the age of 21. Only 1% of smokers start after the age of 26.
Now, did you notice right there, they're talking about smoking combustible cigarettes. And what are they showing you? They're showing you a damn vaping product. They're not saying anything about vaping. They're talking about smoking and smoking combustible cigarette tobacco. And they're talking about those statistics while they're showing you vapor products. As I spoke with Bill Tarling about this earlier, it is not even a subliminal. They are trying to get you to think smoking is as bad as vaping, or vaping is as bad as smoking. And that's just bullshit.
And that's why there's this intense focus on that time frame, that period of life for people.
See, they even start showing you vaping products, and they're still talking about smoking combustible cigarettes.
Jake.
Yeah, that's why the corporations are trying to make them appealing, these e-cigarettes, to kids with their flavors and the like. The FDA announced...
We're not even going to get into that part yet. I'm a vapor manufacturer, okay? I have my own line of products, and I know a ton of people. And none of us ever went after kids. None of us. And yet corporations are bullshit.
New proposals to cut down on underage use today. Walk us through those proposals.
Well, the overarching theme is they basically want to make it much harder for young people, kids, to actually have these things available to them. So that's...
I want everybody to try to remember that just for a few minutes, that they're trying to cut out the capability for younger people to pick up any e-cigarettes, okay? Remember that.
That's really what the focus is on. And part of it is looking at these flavored e-cigs, which they truly believe have been used to actually get more young people to start using these e-cigarettes. They want to ban most of these flavors. They want to make these flavors much harder to get. If people are going to buy these e-cigarettes at all.
I can't even go on with that. It is so much of a crock of shit, what they're trying to purport, what they're trying to show you, what they're trying to do. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Now, if you come across this other wonderful piece of news garbage, and I'm going to transition to this here for a moment, so bear with me. This one comes from, I won't call her any bad names offhand, but this comes from the head of the Truth Initiative, okay? Let's see if we can actually get this to play moderately decently.
The FDA, what are they doing? Well, they're going after flavored e-cigarettes, creating new restrictions designed to keep them out of teenagers' hands. The agency is also pursuing bans on menthol and flavored cigarettes. Joining us now is Robin Koval, who is the CEO and president of Truth Initiative, a nonprofit working against tobacco. Robin, great to have you here with us today.
Did you notice that he said it's a thing that is trying to work against tobacco? Well, the Truth Initiative started out as a different named company, and it was formed from $1 billion from the master settlement agreement that was, the states sued the big tobacco companies, got the master settlement agreement, and in that legislation, that wonderful piece of effing paperwork that came out of that, they gave $1 billion to this company to fight tobacco. So, tell me, where is the money coming from? Oh, that's right, big tobacco.
What is your reaction to the news?
So, this lady on your left, is her paycheck, where did it come from? Big tobacco.
Well, thank you for having me. I have a lot of reactions. There was so much announced. We're really pleased that the FDA is taking action on menthol and on flavors in little cigars. We've been asking for that for a long time, and the evidence is so strong that if we take menthol off the market, we will save hundreds of thousands of lives. So, terrific news. And of course, we're also glad that the FDA is starting to take some action on e-cigarettes, but I have to say, we wish they had done more.
All right, that's enough of that shit, too. Done more, my ass. The people from the Truth Initiative are doing absolutely nothing but trying to railroad your thought, the public thought, into a narrative that they want. I was going to play that whole segment, and that this stuff just pisses me off so bad, it's not even funny. So we look at, just for a brief moment, the news from... Oh, hell. See, my brain doesn't even want to work. Juul. Juul is the one that they talk about. And it's amazing that you find, and speaking with some other people, and most notably, Sherwin Mena, do you know why you only hear about Juul and you don't hear about the Views, the Mark 10, all these other things that are owned by big tobacco companies? I'm going to change this just for a second. Do you know why you don't hear about all of those? Because it's written into that wonderfully crafted piece of legislation called the Master Settlement Agreement that they can't slander big tobacco. And by mentioning them and mentioning teen epidemic and all this other garbage, it would be a lawsuit against whoever said it. So they can't do it. So that only leaves one company, Juul. They can only bitch about Juul. And Juul was not the largest offender. Views was. Let's go back to the news section here for just a quick second. Check this out. Juul has said, and this one, Juul Labs, we love to hate Juul. It's a love-hate relationship. And in their thing that they came out with, they said, yeah, and we don't sell flavors like gummy or cotton candy, which are clearly targeted to kids. We're going to cover that in a minute, too. But here's the thing. They came across and they said that they are taking all of their flavors off the market. And by flavors, I'm talking about these guys right here. Cucumber, mango, cream, fruit. Okay? Those are the ones that they say they are taking off of the market. They're going to leave their tobacco, their mint, and their menthol out there for everybody to buy, right? So they're good with that. But they're taking their mango and their other flavors off of the market. So they are taking them off of 90,000. They stopped taking orders from 90,000 retailers across the country. And they said, oh, no, we're good. We're not going to do that anymore. And they're not even going to sell those flavors in vape stores. Instead, where are they going to sell them? Only on their own personal retail site. Strengthening compliance. This is just, it's another well-crafted piece of I don't know what. So we go back to our statement from the wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and I hope people hear the sarcasm behind all of that. I took a look at this thing that they crafted, okay? As a physician who cared for hospital cancer patients, I saw firsthand the devastation of smoking-related diseases. Okay. It says that he was a cancer survivor himself. That's fine. This one got me as a father of 3. Perfect. I've got kids myself. Everybody. Many people do. I heard daily from parents and teachers worried about the epidemic use of electronic cigarettes and nicotine addiction among kids. Okay. I have a question about that. Did he ever stop to think, or did anybody even think, that because of his position, where he's at, what he does, he would actually hear more of that? If people remember, you buy a new car, or you buy a different kind of car, it's new to you, right? And then all of a sudden you start noticing all these other cars that are out there. That's only because you've got one of those. If you're a Corvette dealership, you're going to hear about all the problems from anybody that owns a Corvette or anybody that has a problem. If you are a lemon law lawyer, you're going to hear all about all the things that are going on in lemon law. The rest of the public won't. It's only because it's all being funneled to him that he would hear more about it. That's my thought on that piece. But if we continue with this just a little bit, this thing just so well crafted. There was something that I noticed in this before I even go any further. I wrote it down. In this in particular statement, press release from the FDA, in this wonderful piece of paperwork, they mentioned the letters FDA 32 times. Okay. It's a piece of paper. It's coming from the FDA. But you know what else I noticed? Scott Gottlieb said I 46 times. So whose agenda is this? His or the FDA's? I hear I more than I hear FDA. What the hell's wrong with that? Like I said, I'm just pissed. It's just one of those nights. For anybody that wants to, the phone lines tonight are open. I did manage to get those set up, and I'm hoping that those are functioning correctly. If you want to give a call in, you're more than welcome to. Phone number, even as it is scrolling across the screen, because I'm not going to take a look to look it up, is 215-383-5752. Feel free to give a call in. They're open. I'll listen. We'll talk. So we go back to Gottlieb and his thing. And again, I kept seeing I, me, I. All right, fine. Whose agenda is it? But he uses the word or the term FDA when it comes to hammer something home. But let's back up for a minute. Juul and they're talking about all of this epidemic and the removal of flavors and whatnot. All these companies remove their flavors from convenience-type stores. Okay? Gas stations, truck stops, convenience stores. They're taking the flavors out. They're done. Huh. But there's an ironic piece that goes right behind that. And again, I'm very seriously thankful to Sherwin Mena, because check this out. All the way up until last year, and you know damn well it didn't change much from last year until now. Where did these kids get their product from? 64% from a friend, 5.8% from a family member, 4% from another person. If they did go in and buy it. So we're looking at what? 73% of all of it was not illegally obtained from any store. 11% from a vape shop. Okay, but all of these, and they say they want to reduce the kids having the capability to get it in there. 73% of the kids that are using it didn't get it from a damn convenience store to begin with. At all. And it makes me wonder, what the hell? Yeah, if I stop and look at this, I see you guys in the chat, and I apologize. Yeah, this is just... The term epidemic applies to the bubonic plague. The term epidemic, if you could apply it to the term AIDS. The term epidemic to an opioid or a heroin overdose crisis. I don't see epidemic in nicotine. And that was one of the other things that got me with Gottlieb. If I go back and look at his press announcement real quick, just right at the top, and I've got to change all this back around. And I appreciate your sticking with me. It says, as a physician who cared for cancer patients, I saw firsthand devastation of smoking-related diseases. Right? Here's a piece of news for you, folks. And Gottlieb has said it himself. Cancer comes from the burning of tobacco and the other chemicals in a cigarette. It does not come from nicotine. Nicotine does not cause cancer. Oh, and speaking of which, by the way, isn't it ironic that they turn around and they're having all of this fit about a nicotine epidemic? What happened to them talking about the kids smoking and being addicted to smoking? How many kids are still smoking cigarettes? How many kids are going to die because they started smoking cigarettes? They don't seem to give much of a shit about that anymore. All they're concerned about now is, yeah, their teen epidemic. Bullshit is what it is. I got so fired up about all this garbage that I felt bad. So later on in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, they came out with this other wonderful piece and said, okay, today the Food and Drug Administration released this morbidity and mortality weekly report. And this is where CNN and God knows who else is getting their crappy, fictitious, shitty numbers. Hands down. This is where it's coming from. All right. And I've got to take a look at this because I don't know if this is all going to fit on the screen or not. Here's their numbers, and I've read through it, and I would have to sit and actually crunch their numbers to see exactly what the hell. But they said it went from 220,000 students. I need to back up because there's a very critical piece of information. Right here at the top. They said this was cross-sectional, voluntary, school-based, self-administered pencil and paper survey of U.S. middle and high school students were analyzed to determine the prevalence of current use. They're saying current use right here. See, my thing doesn't even... Greater 1 or more days out of 30, they're saying is use. Okay. honest to God, what they just turned around and they said, and it's a real bitch about it. If you, little Johnny, took a puff of an e-cigarette just to try it, and even if you hacked your lungs out and said, no, I don't want any of that, you became a user. And that's where they're coming up with all of this garbage, bullshit numbers. Yeah, they took a puff, and now magically they are a user. Oh, they tried to come around and say, okay, look, if we go back and take a look at this wonderful piece of shit, you know, they try to say that, yes, the frequency and number of days preceding 30, and how many of this turnaround, and how many did this, and okay, fine. Even if I took a look at this, and this was something that Demetrius brought up, and I will say it again because he is so damn right. Even if these numbers weren't completely fucked up, and they said 20%, even if that were true, 20% doesn't even come close to that. Okay? Current e-cigarette use increased by 78% from 11 to 20. Their mathematics really make me wonder about that. But even if that's 600, I had to write it down because it's 610,000 kids. 610,000 kids might actually be using more than 20 days in a month. Might. But here is the real question, and this is what Dimitri had mentioned. Is it not rocket science to say there's that many youth not smoking? Where the hell does any of that not come across and say, holy shit, look at this fantastic thing that has happened. We've got this large group of kids that are no longer smoking. They're vaping. Or they're using a vape-like product, or a Juul, however you want to phrase it. They're not smoking. They're not going to get cancer from that e-cigarette. But by God, it's an epidemic. Again, it is nothing but fucked up quackery science to me. And I can't even go through. There's some of the other things that are mentioned, and I've got to scroll down through them. I wish that I could highlight this stuff on my screen and have it automatically available. That would be a wonderful thing, but so far that's just not happening. I have to go back through and read this, and he's talking about saying, I this, I that. Almost all adult smokers started when they were kids. Nearly 90% started before the age of 18, and okay, fine. But now they're vaping and they're no longer smoking. Where does that not take effect? We all know, we have heard the different things batted back and forth saying, hey, okay, nicotine is somewhat comparable to caffeine. It affects the body in very similar ways. I don't see anybody knocking down the door of Coca-Cola to go, you've got an effing epidemic. There's too many kids drinking Coke. They never mention that there's a caffeine epidemic. Isn't that amazing? The best that happened, or the worst, is New York tried to pass a fat tax on soda because too many kids are drinking sugar. Wow. They never said shit about the caffeine that was in it, did they? Yeah. It is a bad night. Yeah, you are very correct. In the chat, Bill turns around and says, also, the repeated use of 20 days include one puff, day one, and one puff almost 3 weeks later, still constitutes regular use. How the hell does anybody with a straight rule and a calculator even come close to saying that's right? It can't be. It's just nothing but bullshit. We need Dimitri in here. Bullshit. We need that big button of his. There was one point in through here, and again, I wish that I could find all the things that I had marked. Gottlieb turned around and he said, I'm directing the FDA's Center for Tobacco Products, the CTP, to revisit compliance policy as it applies to deemed end products. Said the change I seek would protect kids. Here we go again. Protect kids by having all flavored ends products other than tobacco, mint, and menthol, or non-flavored, sold in age-restricted in-person locations and if sold online under heightened practices for age verification. So what he's saying, and this has been a very hotly debated kind of thing, what he is saying is he would like to push this all into a vape store. Okay? He wants to push all of this back into a vape shop, and there has been positive and negative aspect reviews all over the web about it. I want to bring up one point. Go back and look at this shit. Most of the transactions that happened, regardless of where, were legal, age-verified transactions. Let's go over that again. 64% of the kids that are underage and vaping or doing anything got it from a friend. They did not wander into the convenience store and go, can I have a vape? Didn't fucking happen. They got it from a buddy who was of age. And if you think that raising the age from 18 to 21 is going to do it, you are just... I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I would beg to differ with you because I believe it would still happen. But here's my problem. In that very same graphic, here is my problem. I've agreed with people on the news, on the web, about saying it's a good thing that it's gone out of convenience stores, and I agree with people on the web that are saying it's the worst fucking mistake that they could make, because now they are taking the flavor away from any potential new vapor, any potential person that they could get off of a cigarette and onto something flavored. They've taken that away, because there are places in the United States where there are vape shops that are so sparse that you would have to drive 100 miles or even 50 miles to get your vape. Right? And how many people that are even my age or older are comfortable shopping online? Not many. My mom's 75. She doesn't shop online. She refuses to because she's scared about getting robbed or getting her identity theft. But here's the thing. They've taken all of this and they want to put it into the vape store to sell all flavored ends products in a vapor store. It's going to look good for sales. But folks, it's not going to change this statistic. Ever. 64% of those kids that are using this are still going to get it from a friend. And their friend, damn near guaranteed, is a person that is of age. So you've got all of these legal transactions taking place. You're still going to have the same problem. What does that tell you? To me, this is my personal opinion, you're still going to see the same problem with this bullshit youth nicotine epidemic. And what's going to happen? The FDA is going to roll right around and say, you, Mr. Vape Store, couldn't handle it. We don't want you around anymore. PMTAs all the way back. You're done. You're closed. You're gone. That's my fear. Okay? Because we can't, and the convenience stores did a shitty job. We'll admit that. They did a really shitty bang-up job not verifying age and not doing a lot of this, all right? But it doesn't change what that number says. 64% of those kids got them from a friend. And that, more than likely, again, was a legal transaction. Is it going to stop? I honestly, I don't think that it's going to. And that's enough to seriously piss me off. We're going to take a break now. I am hoping that our sponsors spot plays correctly. Oh God, do I hope that it plays correctly. I'm going to add one quick thing just to make sure that it does play correctly. Because without our sponsors, Smoke Free Radio could not do what it does. So please take a moment and check this out.
Hey now, this is Dimitri with Smoke Free Radio reminding you to please show some love to our wonderful sponsors. Without them, there would be no Smoke Free Radio, and they are as follows. All the way from Florida, Moon Mountain Vapor, with locations in Florida, and their liquid available for wholesale and retail, moonmountainvapor.com. Some of the best custards and tobaccos on the market from the Brickwills Vaping Company. The lovely Shell with a vapor bar, locations in Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. And of course online at thevaporbar.com. And who says you can't have award-winning e-liquid without cartoon characters? That's exactly what you're going to get at theplumeroom.com. And finally, of course, the Vaping Advocate magazine that has generously provided the telephone lines for you to communicate with us. Thank you for your support. And finally, for you, the listener, don't forget to check out the coupons and codes page on Smoke Free Radio. Pick up some e-liquid and save some money. From all of us here at Smoke Free Radio, thank you for your continued support.
Hey folks, P. Basardo here, and you're listening to Vaping and the Mic with Mike Peterson.
And it just sits there. No audio. The reason that I talk about all of this for the flavors, for the things that are happening from all the garbage that is going online and the FDA and all of their stuff. Even the National Tobacco Institute had something to say about this. And this was important for them. They wrote a letter to the FDA. They said, hey, guys, we see that 89% of underage youth relied on social sources to obtain an e-cigarette product. The problem is not going to go away. It's still going to be an issue. It's still going to be something wrong. Yeah. Here's me, and I'm screwing everything up, and I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. I love it. The reason that I talk about all of this and all of the flavor items that are happening, because we've got some other serious real life. Imagine if they hit flavors so hard that we had a real problem. What would happen to these people?
This is very personal for me and my entire family. I believe that my dad is alive today because of vaping. My dad smoked for 56 years. He's had multiple heart attacks, stents in his heart and stents in his legs. 1 year after he started vaping, he went back for his checkup. The pulmonologist that was treating him called the hospital and accused them of sending him the wrong x-ray because that's how dramatically his lungs had improved. So that made me super passionate, just watching him go through and how much better he feels. I'd been smoking for about 20 years, and I went into my first vape shop, bought a full setup, got educated on how to use it, and came home and never smoked another cigarette. And that was 7 years ago. It's not just my father, it's my wife, me, both of my aunts. We've all quit smoking because of vaping, and we're all leading a much healthier, happier life.
I know there are still a lot of people out there that are extremely passionate about having the capability for flavors and otherwise to have that portion in there. It's necessary. It's seriously necessary. And I'll play the other one that I wound up here.
I've been a smoker for 36 years.
30 plus years.
30 years.
Over 30 years.
At least 42 years.
36 years. Chain smoke for 36 years. 2+ packs a day.
And all because of this, I'll stop cigarettes and haven't picked one up in 3 years.
I've been cigarette free for 2 years.
I've been smoke free for 2 years.
If I wasn't vaping, I would still be smoking and my health would be a lot worse.
And the flavor that keeps me off cigarettes is lemon drop.
I quit smoking on the flavor of strawberry donut.
My favorite flavor is strawberry watermelon bubblegum, and thanks to that, I quit smoking.
I'm so happy to be smoke free.
So now I don't have a bad habit of smoking where I insult everybody I'm around. I walk around without smelling like an ashtray.
And I have no desire to smoke another cigarette.
I know that there are a ton of people out there that are the same way that I am. These are the things that we fight for. That very kind of thing. And thank you so much for the Tennessee Smoke Free Association for putting those public awareness pieces out. People need to see that. They need to be reminded, why do we do what we do? That's it. Okay, so you've got an assload of teens that might be vaping. How many adults have we been able to transition over to e-cigarettes? How many adult lives has vaping saved? I would venture to say a shitload. And I mean a ton. Because that's where it's at. That's what this whole thing is about. Nicotine doesn't cause cancer. And they know that. Like I said, Gottlieb has said it. We are seeing our industry railroaded into oblivion. And I know hands down there is one gentleman out there, and I'm going to be talking to him in a couple of weeks, Matthew Salter. And he and I, God bless him, he might be able to educate the shit out of me. Okay? And if he can, that's going to be perfect. He is a cheerleader for the vaping industry and an extremely positive attitude. And I've run across other people that have extremely negative attitudes. I've run across people. There have been juice companies that have folded up and said, screw this, I'm out of here, because they don't want to have to go through the hoops and the hurdles and all the garbage. And they've closed up shop. And you take a look at all the things, all the regulations that are still coming around. And then you go back to the FDA saying, well, we're going to revisit the PMTA. That's a warning shot. That scares the hell out of me. As a small manufacturer, that scares the shit out of me. Because that means, hey, if they roll this back, I can't afford a PMTA. And I don't know a lot of small companies that can. Okay, you might have a few. But from everything that I've read and some of the people that I've listened to and some of the people I've spoken with, it may be damn near impossible for any liquid manufacturer to pass a PMTA. And what's that going to tell you? At the latest, 2022, that the industry might have a very sudden stop in their fall. And that was the whole reason that I brought this entire thing up tonight. It's not the fall that kills you. It seriously is not. It's the sudden stop that'll kill you. And I don't know how to tell that to people. It creates a problem. And I'm trying to transition. Because this is what I keep looking at. I keep looking at this picture and understanding a couple of different things about it. If we don't continue to convert smokers, more people are going to be facing this guy in this picture every day. If they take flavors off of the market and manage to railroad our industry into the ground, 480,000 people a year in America are going to be seeing this guy knocking at their door. If the industry doesn't change, many people in the industry are going to be seeing this happen to their industry and their way of life. And it creates that horrible, horrible feeling. Things are going to change. And what I'm looking at, those things are not happy at all. I'm hoping things change. I hope that they get their shit together. I hope that the FDA gets its head out of its ass. Everything that I've seen so far coming across from all the other stuff about flavors brings me to one more. And this I've got to narrow down so that you can see possibly everything that is in this. Oh, come on. You can do better than that. I know what's going to happen. Now I'm going to end up... They talk about flavors. They say the flavors are being bad. They say all this stuff about flavors. Flavors, adults don't want flavors. Flavors are no good. Flavors this, flavors that. And yet I did one quick search. Just one. Guess what I found? And this was on Google. All I did was look up adult gummies. So adults don't like flavors, huh? No, there's no adults. They don't want flavors. They don't want flavors to help them lose weight. They don't want flavors in their multivitamins. I mean, come on. Right here. Adult gummies. Adult gummies. Adult gummies. Gummies to help you lose weight. No, they don't want flavors. Adults must hate flavors. That's why the FDA wants to ban all these flavors and all this crap. Adults don't like flavors. Bullshit. Folks, I'm done for the evening. I am so upset. Thank you for joining me. Next week I am going to be off for Thanksgiving. I will try. I might have a pre-recorded show for next week. But I know coming back the week after on the 29th, if I can still try to make it happen and if his schedule will still allow for it, we're going to be talking with Matthew Salter. And again, he and I might butt heads on a couple of things. And it's not because we're pissed with each other. It's because we have different perspectives or a different viewpoint of what is happening in the industry. But I'm very much looking forward to that. And that'll be on the 29th. Until then, everybody have a great weekend. I hope that everybody has a great night and a very serious good Thanksgiving. Until next week, have a great night.